Chapter 3. 6 months later. Oh, that is all she says. My mother turns and assesses the building, running a finger over the windowsill next to her. She picks up a layer of dust and wipes it between her fingers. It is. It needs a lot of work, I know. I point at the windows behind her. But look at the storefront. It has potential. She scrolls over the windows, nodding. There is this sound she makes in the back of her throat sometimes, where she agrees with a little hum, but her lips remain tight. It means she does not actually agree, and she makes that sound. Twice. I drop my arms in defeat. You think this was stupid? She gives her head a slight shake. That all depends on how it turns out. Lily, she says. The building used to house a restaurant, and it is still full of old tables and chairs. My mother walks over to a nearby table and pulls out one of the chairs, taking a seat. If things work out and your floral shop is successful, then people will say it was a brave, bold, smart business decision. But if it fails and you lose your entire inheritance, then people will say it was a stupid business decision. She shrugs. That is just how it works. You majored in business. You know that. She glances around the room, slowly, as if she is seeing it the way it will look a month from now. Just make sure it is brave and bold. Lily. I can accept that. I can't believe I bought it without asking you first, I say, taking a seat at the table. You are an adult? It is your right, she says, but I can hear a trace of disappointment. I think she feels even lonelier now that I need her less and less. It has been 6 months since my father died, and even though he was not good company, it has to be weird for her, being alone. She got a job at one of the elementary schools, so she did end up moving here. She chose a small suburb on the outskirts of Boston. She bought a cute 2-bedroom house on a cul-de-sac with a huge backyard. I dream of planting a garden there, but that would require daily care. My limit is once-a-week visits. Sometimes twice. What are you going to do with all this junk? She asks. She is right. There's so much junk. It will take forever to clear this place out. I have no idea. I guess I will be busting my ass for a while before I can even think about decorating. When is your last day at the marketing firm? Yesterday. She releases a sigh and then shakes her head. Oh, Lily, I certainly hope this works out in your favor. We both begin to stand when the front door opens. There are shelves in the way of the door, so I careen my head around them and see a woman walk in. Her eyes briefly scan the room until she sees me. Hi, she says with a wave. She is cute. She is dressed well, but she is wearing white capris. A disaster waiting to happen in this dust bowl. Can I help you? She tucks her purse beneath her arm and walks toward me, holding out her hand. I am Elisa, she says. I shake her hand. Lily. She tosses a thumb over her shoulder. There is a help wanted sign out front. I look over her shoulder and raise an eyebrow. There is? I didn't put up a help wanted sign. She nods and then shrugs. It looks old though, she says. It has probably been there a while. I was just out for a walk and saw the sign. Was curious is all. I like her almost immediately. Her voice is pleasant and her smile seems genuine. My mother's hand falls down on my shoulder and she leans in and kisses me on the cheek. I have to go, she says. Open house tonight. Goodbye, and watch her walk outside, then turn my attention back to Elisa. I am not really hiring yet, I say. I wave my hand around the room. I am opening up a floral shop, but it will be a couple of months at least. I should know better than to hold preconceived judgments, but she does not look like she would be satisfied with a minimum wage job. Her purse probably cost more than this building. Her eyes light up. Really? I love flowers. She spins around in a circle and says, this place has a ton of potential. What color are you painting it? I cross my arm over my chest and grab my elbow. Rocking back on my heels, I say, I am not sure. I just got the keys to the building an hour ago, so I haven't really come up with a design plan yet. Lily, right? I nod. I am not going to pretend I have a degree in design, but it is my absolute favorite thing. If you need any help, I would do it for free. I tilt my head. You would work for free? She nods. I do not really need a job. I just saw the sign and thought, what the heck? But I do get bored sometimes. I would be happy to help you with whatever you need. Cleaning, decorating, picking out paint colors. I am a Pinterest whore. Something behind me catches her eye and she points. I could take that broken door and make it magnificent. All this stuff, really. There is a use for almost everything, you know? I look around at the room, knowing full well I'm not going to be able to tackle this by myself. I probably can't even lift half this stuff alone. I will eventually have to hire someone anyway. I am not going to let you work for free. But I could do $10 an hour if you are really serious. She starts clapping, and if she weren't in heels, she might have jumped up and down. When can I start? I glance down at her white capris. Will tomorrow work? You will probably want to show up in disposable clothes. She waves me off and drops her Hermes bag on a dusty table next to her. Nonsense, she says. My husband is watching the Bruins play at a bar down the street. If it is okay, I will just hang with you and get started right now. 2 hours later, I am convinced I have met my new best friend. And she really is a Pinterest whore. We write keep and toss on sticky notes and slap them on everything in the room. She is a fellow believer in upcycling, so we come up with ideas for at least 75% of the stuff left in the building. The rest, she says, her husband can throw out when he has free time. Once we know what we are going to do with all the stuff, I grab a notebook and a pen, and we sit at one of the tables to write down design ideas. Okay, she says, leaning back in her chair. I want to laugh because her white capris are covered in dirt now, but she does not seem to care. Do you have a goal for this place? She asks, glancing around. I have one. I say, succeed. She laughs. I have no doubt you will succeed. But you do need a vision. I think about what my mother said. Here is the text to convert. Just make sure it is brave and bold. Lily, I smile and sit up straighter in my chair. Brave and bold, I say. I want this place to be different. I want to take risks. She narrows her eyes as she chews on the tip of the pen. But you are just selling flowers, she says. How can you be brave and bold with flowers? I look around the room and try to envision what I am thinking. I'm not even sure what I am thinking. I am just getting itchy and restless, like I am on the verge of a brilliant idea. What are some words that come to mind when you think of flowers? I ask her. She shrugs. I do not know. They are sweet, I guess? They are alive, so they make me think of life. And maybe the color pink. And spring. Sweet life, pink spring, I repeat. And then, Elisa, you are brilliant. I stand up and begin pacing the floor. We will take everything everyone loves about flowers, and we will do the complete opposite. She makes a face to let me know she is not following. Okay. What if, instead of showcasing the sweet side of flowers, we showcase the villainous side? Instead of pink accents, we use darker colors, like a deep purple or even black. And instead of just spring and life, we also celebrate winter and death. Elisa's eyes are wide. But what if someone wants pink? Flowers, though? Well, we will still give them what they want, of course. But we will also give them what they do not know. They want. She scratches her cheek. So you're thinking black? Flowers? She looks concerned, and I do not blame her. She is only seeing the darkest side of my vision. I take a seat at the table again, and try to get her on board. Someone once told me that there is no such thing as bad people. We are all just people who sometimes do bad things. That stuck with me because it is so true. We have all got a little bit of good and evil in us. I want to make that our theme. Instead of painting the walls a putrid sweet color, we paint them dark purple with black accents. And instead of only putting out the usual pastel displays of flowers in boring crystal vases that make people think of life, we go edgy. Brave and bold. We put out displays of darker flowers, wrapped in things like leather or silver chains. And rather than put them in crystal vases, we will stick them in black onyx or... I do not know. Purple velvet vases lined with silver studs. The ideas are endless. I stand up again. There are floral shops on every corner for people who love flowers. But what floral shop caters to all the people who hate flowers? Elisa shakes her head. None of them, she whispers. Exactly. None of them. We stare at each other for a moment, and then I cannot take it another second. I am bursting with excitement, and I just start laughing like a giddy child. Elisa starts laughing too, and she jumps up and hugs me. Lily, it is so twisted. It is brilliant. I know I am full of renewed energy. I need a desk so I can sit down and make a business plan. But my future office is full of old vegetable crates. She walks toward the back of the store. Well, let us get them out of there and go buy you a desk. We squeeze into the office and begin moving crates out one by one and into a back room. I stand on the chair to make the piles taller, so we will have more room to move around. These are perfect for the window displays I have in mind. She hands me 2 more crates and walks away, and as I am reaching on my tiptoes to stack them at the very top, the pile begins to tumble. I try to find something to grab hold of for balance, but the crates knock me off the chair. When I land on the floor, I can feel my foot bend in the wrong direction. It is followed by a rush of pain straight up my leg and down to my toes. Elisa comes rushing back into the room and has to move 2 of the crates from on top of me. Lily, she says, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I pull myself up to a sitting position, but do not even try to put weight on my ankle. I shake my head. My ankle? She immediately removes my shoe and then pulls her phone out of her pocket. She begins dialing a number and then looks up at me. I know this is a stupid question, but do you happen to have a refrigerator here with ice in it? I shake my head. I figured, she says. She puts the phone on speaker and sets it on the floor as she begins to roll up my pant leg. I wince, but not so much from the pain. I just can't believe. I did something so stupid. If I broke it, I am screwed. I just spent my entire inheritance on a building that I will not even be able to renovate for months. Here is the text to convert. He. Isa, a voice croons through her phone. Where are you at? The game is over. Elisa picks up her phone and brings it closer to her mouth. At work. Listen, I need. The guy cuts her off and says, at work. Babe, you do not even have a job. Elisa shakes her head and says, Marshall, listen. It is an emergency. I think my boss broke her ankle. I need you to bring some ice too. He cuts her off with a laugh. Your boss? Babe, you do not even have a job, he repeats. Elisa rolls her eyes. Marshall, are you drunk? It is onesie. Day, he slurs into the phone. You knew that when you dropped us off, Isa. Free beer until. Put my brother on the phone. Fine, fine, Marshall mumbles. There is a rustling sound that comes from the phone, and then, yeah? Elisa spits out our location into the phone. Get here right now. Please. And bring a bag of ice. Yes, ma'am, he says. The brother sounds like he may be a little drunk, too. There is laughter, and then one of the guys says, Here is the text to convert. She is in a bad mood. And then the line goes dead. Elisa puts her phone back in her pocket. I will go wait outside for them. They are just down the street. Will you be okay here? I nod and reach for the chair. Maybe I should just try to walk on it. Elisa pushes my shoulders back until I am leaning against the wall again. No, do not move. Wait until they get here, okay? I have no idea what two drunken guys are going to be able to do for me, but I nod. My new employee feels more like my boss right now, and I am kind of scared of her at the moment. I wait in the back for about 10 minutes when I finally hear the front door to the building open. What in the world? A man's voice says, "Why are you all alone in this creepy building?" I hear Elisa say, "She is back here." She walks in, followed by a guy wearing a onesie. He is tall, a little bit on the thin side, but boyishly handsome with big, honest eyes and a head full of dark, messy, way past due for a haircut hair. He is holding a bag of ice. Did I mention he was wearing a onesie? I am talking about a legit full-grown man in a SpongeBob onesie. "This is your husband, question mark. I ask her, comma, cocking an eyebrow, period. Elisa rolls her eyes. Unfortunately, she says, glancing back at him. Another guy also in a onesie walks in behind them, but my attention is on Elisa as she explains why they are wearing pajamas on a random Wednesday afternoon. There is a bar down the street that gives out free beer to anyone who shows up in a onesie during a Bruins game. She makes her way over to me and motions for the guys to follow her. She fell off the chair and hurt her ankle, she says to the other guy. He steps around Marshall, and the first thing I notice are his arms. Holy shit. I know those arms. Those are the arms of a neurosurgeon. Elisa is his sister? The sister that owns the entire top floor, with the husband who works in pajamas and brings in 7 figures a year. As soon as my eyes lock with Riles, his whole face morphs into a smile. I haven't seen him in Dash. God, how long ago was that? 6 months. I can't say I haven't thought about him during the past 6 months, because I have thought about him quite a few times. But I never actually thought I would see him again. Ryle, this is Lily. Lily, my brother, Ryle, she says, motioning toward him. And that is my husband, Marshall. Ryle walks over to me and kneels down. Lily, he says, regarding me with a smile. Nice to meet you. It is obvious he remembers me, Dash. I can see it in his knowing smile. But like me, he is pretending this is the first time we have met. I am not sure I am in the mood to explain how we already know each other. Ryle touches my ankle and inspects it. Can you move it? I try to move it, but a sharp pain shoots all the way up my leg. I suck in air through my teeth and shake my head. Not yet. It hurts. Ryle motions to Marshall. Find something to put the ice in. Elisa follows Marshall out of the room. When they are both gone, Ryle looks at me and his mouth turns up into a grin. I will not charge you for this, but only because I am slightly inebriated, he says with a wink. I tilt my head. The first time I met you, you were high. Now you are drunk. I am beginning to worry you are not going to make a very qualified neurosurgeon. He laughs. It would appear that way, he says. But I promise you, I rarely ever get high, and this is my first day off in over a month, so I really needed a beer. Or 5. Marshall comes back with an old rag wrapped around some ice. He hands it to Ryle, who presses it against my ankle. I will need that first aid kit out of your trunk, Ryle says to Elisa. She nods and grabs Marshall's hand, pulling him out of the room again. Ryle presses his palm against the bottom of my foot. Push against my hand, he says. I push down with my ankle. It hurts, but I am able to move his hand. Is it broken? He moves my foot from side to side and then says, I do not think so. Let's give it a couple of minutes, and I will see if you can put any weight on it. I nod and watch as he adjusts himself across from me. He sits cross-legged and pulls my foot onto his lap. He looks around the room and then directs his attention back at me. So what is this place? I smile a little too big. Lily Blooms. It will be a floral shop in about 2 months' time. I swear his whole face lights up with pride. No way, he says. You did it? You are actually opening up your own business? I nod. Yep. I figured. I might as well try it while I'm still young enough to bounce back from failure. One of his hands is holding the ice against my ankle, but the other one is wrapped around my bare foot. He is brushing his thumb back and forth, like it is no big deal that he is touching me. But his hand on my foot is way more noticeable than the pain in my ankle. I look ridiculous, huh? He asks, staring down at his solid red onesie. I shrug. At least you went with a non-character choice. It gives it a bit more maturity than the SpongeBob option. He laughs, and then his smile disappears as he leans his head into the door beside him. He stares at me appreciatively. You are even prettier in the daytime. Moments like these are why I absolutely hate having red hair and fair skin. The embarrassment doesn't only show up in my cheeks, dash my whole face, arms and neck grow flushed. I rest my head against the wall behind me and stare at him just like he is staring at me. You want to hear a naked truth? He nods. I have wanted to go back to your roof on more than one occasion since that night, but I was too scared you would be there. You make me kind of nervous? His fingers pause their strokes against my foot. My turn? I nod. His eyes narrow as his hand moves to the underneath of my foot. He slowly traces his fingers from the tops of my toes down to my heel. I still very much want to fuck you. Someone gasps, and it isn't me. Ryle and I both look at the doorway, and Elisa is standing there, wide-eyed. Her mouth is open as she points down at Ryle. Did you just... She looks at me and says, I am so... Sorry about him, Lily. And then she looks back at Ryle with venom in her eyes. Did you just tell my boss you want to have sexual intercourse? Her? Oh dear. Ryle pulls his bottom lip in and chews on it for a second. Marshall walks in behind Elisa and says, What is going on? Elisa looks at Marshall and points at Ryle again. He just told Lily he wants to fuck. Marshall looks from Ryle to me. I do not know whether to laugh or crawl under the table and hide. You did? He says, looking back at Ryle. It appears that way, he says. Elisa puts her head in her hands. Jesus Christ, she says, looking at me. He is drunk. They are both drunk. Please do not judge me because my brother is an asshole. I smile at her and wave it off. It is fine, Elisa. Lots of people want to fuck me. I glance back at Ryle and he is still casually stroking my foot. At least your brother speaks his mind. Not a lot of people have the courage to say what they are actually thinking. Ryle winks at me and then carefully moves my ankle off his lap. Let's see if you can put any weight on it, he says. He and Marshall help me to my feet. Ryle points to a table a few feet away that is pushed up against a wall. Let us try to make it to the table so I can wrap it. His arm is secured around my waist, and he is gripping my arm tightly to make sure I do not fall. Marshall is more or less just standing next to me for support. I put a little weight on my ankle and it hurts, but it's not excruciating. I am able to hop all the way to the table with a lot of assistance from Ryle. He helps me pull myself up until I am seated on top of it, leaning against the wall with my legs stretched out in front of me. Well, the good news is that it is not broken. What is the bad news? I ask him. He opens the first aid kit and says, you will need to stay off of it for a few days. Maybe even a week or more, depending on how it heals. I close my eyes and lean my head against the wall behind me. But I have so much to do, I whine. He carefully begins to wrap my ankle. Elisa is standing behind him, watching him wrap it. I am thirsty, Marshall says. Anybody want something to drink? There is a CVS across the street. I am good, Ryle says. I will take a water, I say. Sprite, Elisa says. Marshall grabs her hand. You are coming with? Elisa pulls her hand from his and crosses her arms over her chest. I am not going anywhere, she says. My brother cannot be trusted. Elisa, it is fine, I tell her. He was making a joke. She stares at me silently for a moment and then says, okay, but you can't fire me if he pulls more stupid shit. I promise I won't fire you. With that, she grabs Marshall's hand again and leaves the room. Ryle is still wrapping my foot when he says, "My sister works for you." "Yep. Hired her a couple of hours ago." He reaches into the first aid kit and pulls out tape. "You do realize she has never had a job in her entire life?" "She already warned me," I say. His jaw is tight and he does not look as relaxed as he did earlier. Then it hits me that he might think I hired her as a way to get closer to him. "I had no idea she was your sister until you walked in." "I swear." He glances at me and then back down at my foot. "I was not suggesting you knew." He begins to tape over the ace band. "I know you weren't. I just didn't want you to think I was trying to trap you somehow. We want two different things from life, remember?" He nods and carefully sets my foot back on the table. "That is correct," he says. "I specialize in one-night stands, and you are on the quest for your holy grail." I laugh. "You have a good memory," he says. A languid smile stretches across his mouth. "But you are also hard to forget." He has to stop saying things like that. I press my palms into the table and pull my leg down. Naked truth coming. He leans against the table next to me and says, "All ears." I hold nothing back. "I am very attracted to you," I say. "There is not much about you I do not like. And being as though you and I both want different things, if we are ever around each other again, I would appreciate it if you could stop saying things that make me dizzy. It is not really fair to me." He nods once and then says, "My turn." He places his hand on the table next to me and leans in a little. "I am very attracted to you too. There is not much about you I do not like, but I kind of hope we are never around each other again because I do not like how much I think about you. Which isn't all that much, but it's more than I'd like. So if you still are not going to agree to a one-night stand, then I think it is best if we do what we can to avoid each other, because it won't do either of us any favors. I do not know how he ended up this close to me, but he is only about a foot away. His proximity makes it hard to pay attention to words that come out of his mouth. His gaze drops briefly to my mouth, but as soon as we hear the front door open, he is halfway across the room. By the time Elisa and Marshall make it to us, Ryle is busy restacking all the crates that fell. Elisa looks down at my ankle. "What is the verdict?" she asks. I push my bottom lip out. "Your doctor brother says I have to stay off of it for a few days." She hands me my water. "Good thing you have me. I can work and do what I can to clean up while you rest." I take a drink of the water and then wipe my mouth. "Elisa, I am declaring you Employee of the Month." She grins and then turns to Marshall. "Did you hear that?" I am the best employee she has. He puts his arm around her and kisses the top of her head. "I am proud of you, Isa." I like that he calls her Isa, which I am assuming is short for Elisa. I think about my own name and if I will ever find a guy who could shorten it into a sickeningly cute nickname. Illy. "Nope, not the same." "Do you need help getting home?" she asks. I hop down and test my foot. Maybe just to my car. It is my left foot, so I can probably drive just fine. She walks over and puts her arm around me. "If you want to leave the keys with me, I will lock up and come back tomorrow and start cleaning." The three of them walk me to my car, but Ryle allows Elisa to do most of the work. He seems almost scared to touch me now, for some reason. When I am in the driver's seat, Elisa puts my purse and other things in the floorboard and sits in the passenger seat. She takes my phone out and begins programming her number into it. Ryle leans into the window. "Make sure to keep ice on it as much as you can for the next few days. Baths help too." I nod. "Thanks for your help." Elisa leans over and says, "Ryle, maybe you should drive her home and take a cab back to the apartment, just to be safe." Ryle looks down at me and then shakes his head. "I do not think that is a good idea," he says. "She will be fine. I have had a few beers, probably should not be driving." "You could at least help her home," Elisa suggests. Ryle shakes his head and then pats the roof of the car as he turns and walks away. I am still watching him when Elisa hands me back my phone and says, "Seriously, I am really sorry about him. First, he hits on you, then he is a selfish asshole." She climbs out of the car and closes the door, then leans through the window. "That is why he will be single for the rest of his life." She points to my phone. "Text me when you get home, and call me if you need anything. I won't count favors as work time." "Thank you, Elisa." She smiles. "No, thank you." I haven't been this excited about my life since that Paolo Nutini concert I went to last year. She waves goodbye and walks toward where Marshall and Ryle are standing. They begin walking down the street, and I watch them in my rearview mirror. As they turn the corner, I see Ryle glance over his shoulder and look back in my direction. I close my eyes and exhale. It's the 2 times I have spent with Ryle were on days I would probably rather forget. My father's funeral and spraining my ankle. But somehow, him being present made them feel like less of the disasters they were. I hate that he is Elisa's brother. I have a feeling this isn't the last time I will be seeing him.